All right, listen guys, I want to start off by just playing a little bit of a game together, okay? I'm going to share some hot takes. They're not really that hot, it's probably more like a lukewarm take, but I'm going to share some takes, and I want you, wherever you are, to give a thumbs up or a thumbs down if you agree or disagree with what I have to say. All right, I'm going to come right out of the gate with what's probably the most controversial one. I don't think it should be, but it is. I believe that LeBron James is the NBA GOAT. I believe he's better than Michael, he's better than Kobe, and I really don't even think it's that close. But hey, maybe you don't care about basketball, let's shift to something more important. Star Wars, okay? Star Wars. There's the sequel trilogy, okay? Episode 7, 8, and 9. I believe out of those three, episode 8 is the best one. Yes, I am talking about the weird one where like Luke drinks the weird blue milk. I'm talking about that one. Episode 8 is the best one, and I believe Rogue One is the best Star Wars movie ever made. Okay, I'll go to some easier ones, maybe some easier ones for you to get on board with. Toilet paper should always be over instead of under, okay? That seems real straightforward to me. I don't know who in their right mind would put it under instead of over. Another easy one, Amazon Prime. I mean, can we just appreciate the beauty of being able to order something without going to a store? Just order something and then the next day it's there. I mean, how beautiful is that? It's amazing. Okay, another one, pizza, just the best thing ever. I mean, how could you not enjoy a slice of pizza? And even if you're gluten-free, there's gluten-free pizza and it's still good, right? They cannot make bad pizza. Even just frozen pizza is still edible and pretty dang good. So here's the thing, guys. There's a lot of things we agree with, a lot of things we disagree with. We all have opinions, we all have big opinions, and maybe you hated some of mine, and that's okay. Maybe I hate some of your opinions too. Just kidding, it's all right. You have great opinions, I'm sure. But here's the thing, sometimes I get stuck. Thinking that Jesus is looking for me to just agree with the things that he said. You know what I mean? Like you read a Bible verse, or maybe you come to Collide and you watch a video and you're like, that sounds nice, I agree with what that person said. And then you go home and you don't actually do anything with that information, right? We hear the information and we say, hey, that's great, I agree with it, I believe what Jesus said there, but then we don't do anything with it. Jesus doesn't want us to just agree with him. That's the thing. He wants us to be his followers, not his fans. See, fans are like, man, that's awesome what you just said. That's amazing what you just said, but they don't actually do it. Followers hear what someone says and do it. So Jesus wants us to listen to him and do what he said. So today, I'm gonna ask you to join me in listening to Jesus and doing what he said. So Collide, let's get into it, all right? One day, Jesus and his closest followers were at McDonald's. What? Just kidding. They didn't have money to go McDonald's. Just kidding, there was no McDonald's. Now, they got together to celebrate something called the Passover, which was an incredibly important and meaningful religious celebration that includes having a meal together. So they sat down at a table, all right? Now, one thing you need to know is that most people in that time had some stanky, dirty feet. It's just the way that it was. Maybe you can relate. I know I can at times. They walked everywhere they went, which was mostly on dirt roads, and either they walked with sandals on their feet or they went barefoot. So it was the job of a servant to wash the guests' feet when someone was hosting a fancy meal like this. So when someone's hosting a meal like this, servant would come in and wash everyone's feet so that they weren't dirty and stanky for the meal. This is what the disciples were expecting when they sat down with Jesus to eat. But that's not what happened. And so what we're gonna do is we're gonna read together about a moment that left Jesus' followers completely speechless. It's in John chapter 13. If you wanna grab a Bible and turn there with me now or pull it up on your phone, John chapter 13, and we're gonna start in verse 3. So let's read this together. It says, Jesus knew that the Father had given him authority over everything, and that he had come from God and would return to God. So he got up from the table, he took off his robe and wrapped a towel around his waist and poured water into a basin. Then he began to wash the disciples' feet, drying them with the towel he had around them. Guys, Jesus, the Son of God, did what only servants would do. His followers didn't even know what to do with themselves. They were confused. In fact, a lot of them disagreed. They said, Jesus, you are not going to wash our feet. They were confused. They didn't know what to think. So Jesus says something to help them understand what he is doing. Let's check out verse 12 through 15. It says, after washing their feet, Jesus put on his robe again and sat down and asked, do you understand what I was doing? Pause right there. I love that. Everybody's obviously confused, and Jesus sits down and he's just like, hey, what do you guys think I was doing? And they're all looking at each other like, I don't know, Jesus, you tell us. This is kind of weird. And so Jesus responds and he says, you call me teacher and Lord, and you are right, because that's what I am. And since I, your Lord and teacher, have washed your feet, you ought to wash each other's feet. I have given you an example to follow. Do as I have done to you. See, guys, Jesus was making it super clear for all of us that if we're gonna follow Jesus, we've got to get comfortable with the idea of being uncomfortable so that we can serve others. See, that day, he wasn't looking for his followers to just agree with him and talk about how nice it was of him to wash their feet and then go start a podcast talking about how Jesus washed their feet. That's not what he was looking for. And see, the problem is that fans of Jesus come along and we do a lot of talking. We do a lot of talking about saying how Jesus loves people and how, man, we should care about other people, we should serve other people, but then we don't do anything to show that love to others. And maybe what you've seen is that fans of Jesus often show a lack of empathy, maybe judgmental attitudes or words, and they ignore people instead of serving them. They agree with what Jesus says, but they don't actually follow what he teaches. And guys, that is not love. Jesus' love requires action. And so if you want to love like Jesus, and I want you to write this down because I don't want you to miss this. If you want to love like Jesus loves, you need to be willing to serve like Jesus served. If you want to love like Jesus, serve like Jesus. If you want to stop being a fan of Jesus and talking about and agreeing about things, you need to follow his example. And man, when I think about someone who actually does this, I think about a few different people. I think about Dale, who shows up at our church on Saturday morning with a leaf blower just to make the parking lot look a little bit nicer for the people who show up on Sunday. I think about Dean and Dave, who have been the hands and feet of every wildfire we've done for years by carrying things out, unloading, setting up every camp. Man, I think about Mark, who shows up at the York Benevolent Association to help pack meals, to help deliver goods, to donate, and is so involved. Man, I think about our Ephrata campus, who just got acknowledged by an organization in the Ephrata community for the work that they've been doing there. Those are people who are loving like Jesus loved because they're serving like Jesus served. They're being the hands and feet. Those are followers, not fans. And so Collide, we're gonna do something different this week. Instead of going to groups to just talk about serving others and agree that we should serve others, we're gonna go to group and we're gonna actually do a serve project together. Okay, and I'm really excited about this, man. We're gonna have an opportunity to put this into practice, okay? No more going home and forgetting what we talked about and never actually doing it. We're gonna do it in the moment. And so, man, I'm excited for what we're about to do today and what you're about to be a part of at your campus this morning, all right? Today is gonna be a special day as we grow and we serve together. And so my prayer for you is this, Collide, my prayer for you is this, is that this moment inspires you to go, to find more ways to get involved serving around people, to get more involved in your community. I mean, what if every community that had a Collide knew that we had a Collide because we showed up for them, because we served like Jesus served, because we got comfortable getting uncomfortable to serve others, so that way others can see Jesus in the way that you serve them. Have a great week. We'll see you next week.